All right, folks, we're diving right in here tonight. Welcome back to Sunday Sketchin'. April, Marissa, and Ryan are all off tonight. Ryan was going to be here, and he may actually pop in a little bit later, but he ended up actually at the Chiefs game tonight. He's wallowing right now. I think he's got the tears, but hopefully he'll get home and he'll be able to join us. If not, they'll be back next week. So tonight we've got a completely new panel of people. We have an all new book and creators that we want to introduce you to. So, and we have one person that we're still waiting on. But as soon as he gets his technology figured out, we'll bring him in as well. I'm Tom Hutchinson. What's going on, everybody? Back to Sunday Sketchin'. Tonight is some folks that some of you may know, some of you may not know. So that's kind of half the point of doing these shows, is to kind of broaden the horizons of who you guys know in the comic book world. So tonight it is, let me just pop this up right here. We have Sam Quinton here. He is I'll let you introduce yourself because you know who you are.
Sure, Tom. As Tom said, I'm Sam Quinton. I own Sonopa Publishing in Frankfort, Kentucky. We produce role-playing game books as well as comics, and we are currently live on Kickstarter with our now funded project Reign of Ages, Issue 1, co-created by myself and the esteemed Nick Caponi. And we are actually going to be fulfilling that book in February. So, I mean, it's going to be a really fast turnaround. People are going to get their books really, really quick.
Yeah, you've got about 5 days left on the campaign. So for those that are interested in Kickstarter, interested in checking out a new book, we'll go through the campaign as we always do. But you can jump over to Kickstarter anytime you like, look it up, and have a peek. And of course, Sam will be here to talk about the book. And as mentioned, we have artist Nick Capone.
Hi guys. I am the penciler and inker of Reign of Ages. Aside from Reign of Ages, I've worked with Sonopa Publishing for a few years now, and I also color for Dynamite. I've colored for Scout. I've colored for Pixie Chicks Comics. It's more of a Canadian company, and I've colored I've been coloring for also 5 years in the midst of doing some creative stuff with Sam. So a little bit of a multi-artist, I guess, but yeah, pleasure to be here.
Nothing wrong with that. Those of you from the Artist Alley Shopping Network, and he's worked for Big Dog Inc. as well, but he's done a lot of stuff on his own, appearing for the first time here as well. Rob Hicks tonight. Rob, live from Arizona, and it's super cold out there right now, right? It's got to be like 50.
Yeah, about 60 at night, 50 at night.
Oh my God.
We're all wearing burkas out here, Anytime it drops below 70, we got to throw on our hoodies and winter coats.
Oh my gosh. So tell them who Rob Hicks is and what you're up to.
Rob Hicks, creator, owner of Spiral Ink Comics. I do my own comics. You might have heard of Hooded Cobra, Succubus. Newest book is Feathers of Onyx. I just did with Cole Music. He's a new writer out of Tucson. I've done a handful of covers for, I did some work for BDI, did some work for Totally Rad. I've done some covers for Ron over at Mount Olympus Comics. And Alfred Trujillo and Kyra Nicole, done some covers for those guys. So just been out having fun with it. Just finished the Kickstarter for Feathers of Onyx last fall, and that went great. I'm working on the 5th issue of Succubus right now. So that's kind of what I've been up to lately.
Awesome. Excellent. We have most people will know Bryan Peterson. If you know me, you know Bryan. Bryan's been working for us for a while here.
Hey,
glad we got you on, dude.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. It's been a while since I've seen you guys, so it's good to be back and seeing you guys again.
Yeah, excellent. Give him the Bryan Peterson rundown.
Yeah, no, my name's Bryan Peterson. I work with primarily Big Dog Inc. Me and Tom have done a lot together over the last few years here. I've also worked with Lady Death and Coffin Comics, as well as I did a Naughty and Nice last year, and Gaslighters, a few other comics, some stuff for Dren Productions. So it's been a pretty good couple years here.
Excellent, excellent. And we have a special guest as well, brought in by Sam and Nick. We have Mr. Fernando Ruiz hanging out with us tonight.
Hi.
How are you?
Excellent.
Excellent. Why don't you give the hello? And we have another Arizona fan hanging with us here. Give everybody the Who's Fernando spiel.
Well, I've been drawing comics now for about 28 years. Probably most people know me from 22 years at Archie Comics, where I drew Life with Archie, Archie's Weird Mysteries, Archie versus Predator, and a ton of other Archie stuff. I've also worked for Dynamite. I've drawn for Pixie Tricks Comics, a web comics company. I've self-published my own book with a fellow Archie veteran, Dan Parent. We've done Die Kitty Die, which we've been able to do successfully with 3 Kickstarters. And I've also been a teacher at the Kubert School for 27 years, which is where I graduated from. And this year I became the school's admissions officer. So now I'm there full time. So that's
excellent. Me. There you go. Cool. There you go. The Kubert School. It's interesting. I've had a lot of people talk about going to art school of various kinds, whether it's the Kubert School or what have you. The sort of reactions to those seem to be kind of like some people are come out of it and they're very happy with the experience. Others kind of feel like art school sort of pushes them too much in one direction. Like, you need to do it this way because, and I'm not saying that's the Kubert School. I'm just saying in general, that's sort of the art school thing. It's always interesting to me to hear who's gone through school, who's gone through and dropped out, who just did it on their own, and what their rationale was for any of it. Because there's no real one way to do art. I mean, I think that's kind of the point is do it your way, learn it your way. There's plenty of self-taught people. There's plenty of people that went through the Kubert School and came out and have been successful. Obviously,
I had a portfolio review from Kubert School once. I applied back in like early 2000s, and I sent off my portfolio to them and everything. And yeah, I mean, we did the phone interview. It was a good talk about my work at the time and like what they thought that would be best direction for me and like try to get me in there. But nothing ever became of it. And plus at the time I couldn't really afford to move from Wisconsin to New Jersey. So like, yeah, but it was still a good talk. I sent my portfolio in, they looked at it and everything, and just never went anywhere, further from that point, I guess. And I've been mostly self-taught this whole time. I mean, I did go to school for visual arts. I picked up a lot of techniques in school, but it didn't really teach me how to draw comics or how to draw overall.
Well, yeah, there's art school and then there's comic art school too. I mean, that's
right.
I mean, is Kubert School really like a comic art school, or is it like a more broad, like, you know what I mean? Like, how deep does it go as far as art goes, or is it really a sort of a hyper focused comic thing? Because I really don't know.
It's really
pretty much hyper focused on comics most of it.
It's really more of a commercial arts school.
Okay,
but we do have a focus on comics just because, well, most of the faculty are comic professionals. So, comics just become the thing that we have students draw. Mm-hmm. The information that we give the students and the training that they get, they can become a commercial artist in any area of the field. And now, especially these days, more and more of our students are going into concept design, storyboards, which is exploding. So, yeah, comics is what we have you draw, kind of like when you go to art school, you draw a bowl of fruit. Not necessarily training you to become bowl of fruit artists.
Okay.
It's just the thing we have draw. Because the kids,
the fundamentals.
Teachers do it. But when you get out of there, you should be able to work in any aspect of the field.
Interesting.
And I can tell you, after hiring Kubert graduates for a lot of work for RPGs, and then now in comics too, I see a lot of versatility out of these guys, a lot. And I have I've been kind of spoiled too, because I really don't have that phenomenon where I have, people who are how should I say it, reluctant to test their genres or their styles. There's a lot of flexibility from these folks coming out here. Alexia Veldhausen is a good example of that, because Alexia can do. I honestly haven't found a style Alexia can't do yet. I'm working on it, but so far I haven't found anything that she can't do.
Yeah, like to add to like both what Sam and Fernando were saying, it's just we train our students to just be as versatile as possible. A common goal was always people wanted to break into comics, and we educate them. We give them the tools, like we kind of nudge them more in a direction where we can make that possible, like, whether if it's working on anatomy, or maybe your inking needs to be brushed up a little bit, or your colors need some work. We kind of train them to be like pretty well off in most of the stages, and then by the end they kind of go in a direction where they feel is more like rational, what their strong points are. But overall, most, if not all, of the people who go in and out of that school are capable of taking on different style jobs, different, we have a huge bump of students doing, as what Fernando mentioned, storyboarding and animation. We've had a few animators come out of the school. We've had concept artists, and then obviously your comic artists. And then you're also noticing a lot of students coming out and putting out their own content, which is pretty cool. So it's kind of like a different, there's so many different angles that students approach after they leave the Cooper school. So we train them for to be ready for anything, essentially.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I mean, this is all new to me. I mean, I always assumed it was a comic book school.
Yeah.
Which obviously, I mean, like you said, you can learn the tools and take them to other places, but I didn't really understand how wide it went. Did you ever do any school, Bryan?
Yeah, I did about 2.5, maybe 3 years of college. Never finished for a degree, but basically all I did was art. I took everything they had, you name it, watercolor, sculpture, oil painting. I did all the traditional things. My biggest regret from going to college to enhance my skills was I never took any digital. And I tried the fine art route for a few years. I did a lot of paintings and things like that for galleries and showrooms, and it was a really hard road to go down. And my real love was really with comic art. So I had to, I had great drawing skills, and I honed them more towards comics, which when you learn the fundamentals through like figure drawing classes and stuff, I actually highly recommend anybody do figure drawing. It will enhance your drawing abilities, especially for comics. But I had no idea how to do anything digital, so I had to teach myself all that on my own over the last, 7 years or so. But definitely took some school. I think it helped. That's a good start to take.
Oh yeah, I would think so. I hear that all the time. Life drawing classes and all that kind of stuff. 100%. I hear that all the time. It's funny. Every time I get a portfolio review at a con. If I'm at a con, people will be like, "Hey, can I see your? Are you doing portfolio reviews?" I'm like, "This is 50-50. This is going to be manga." I know it's 50-50. This is going to be a manga portfolio that has nothing to do with what I do. And I can critique it because I understand it. But that's become such a huge, just pop culture thing, manga and anime, that, it's natural now for the artist to be like, oh, I want to draw manga and I want to draw anime and stuff. So it's like, woo, that's not what we do. But, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Well, I can definitely point you in the right direction on some of this stuff, but it's wild how explosive that stuff has become of late.
That fan base is huge.
And not only that, I've seen it even in mainstream DC artist level artist, where you could tell, even if it's not a direct style they're going for, you could tell they're immensely influenced by manga. And for example, an artist I really follow is Jorge Jimenez. He does a lot of DC stuff. And you could tell right off the bat he was a huge anime fan growing up. He definitely read manga and all that. And like it's just like a little hint of it that I've seen like more mainstream work today, and even indie titles. Like it's kind of seeping through a little bit through everyone, kind of being like it's rubbing off on people, which I think is kind of cool to see.
Well, you had the old guys. I mean, 20 years ago, whatever. Like Jeff Matsuda, Humberto Ramos. Those guys really brought some of that into Joe Madureira. Yep, Joe Mad. Really brought some of that stuff into what they did. It was still sort of American comics, but you could definitely see like, hey, this guy likes this stuff. And it popped. It sure popped back in the day. I mean, it was a very different look from what we were getting, sort of like when Todd McFarlane kind of changed Spider-Man. It kind of that stuff really changed comics. And I don't know that a lot of those guys necessarily get the due that they're maybe even deserve for doing what they did. I mean, Joe Mad, he only ever did like 6 issues and then left and came back into 6 issues and left. So he was very off and on. But Jeff Matsuda was on like the X-Men forever and X Factor and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think there's a lot of those guys that have kind of gotten forgotten, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. I mean, obviously also even more in more recent times, I mean, I guess for the last like 10 years or so, like even Art Germ has become this like almost like cultural phenomenon in comics. Like everyone loves Art Germ, but he's clearly inspired by manga growing up. Oh, sure. So it's like I love that little like that westernized look, the more modern, like painterly style of it. That's kind of slowly like knocking on the mainstream comic store. I think recently DC put out a Joker book that was very like manga inspired. It's very like very formatted, and it looks like it's like a typical size manga, but it's like a Joker cover.
Like it's small size?
I believe so. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I know they put out recently just like a Joker cover that was very anime, very very anime. But I don't know the specifics of it, but I know they're switching more. They're going more towards that. I've noticed.
Well, there was some time where both Marvel and DC did like manga books. Like there was actually a mangaverse for Marvel for a while.
Ben Dunn did.
Yeah, I remember a manga Wolverine.
That's right. It was Ben Dunn. That's right.
Yeah, it was a very interesting take. But yeah, and Ben Dunn being the big dude on campus as he is, it was really cool seeing him making like breaking into Marvel like that, because I actually had this conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, and I think Ben Dunn was one of the few people who kind of revolutionized that westernized manga, because before that, you just really only saw like manga being like based out in just Japan and the Asia market, and it made sales in the States, but you never really saw many creators out there producing manga outside of like Japan or in Asia.
Adam Warren.
A lot of it was just
Adam Warren.
A lot of it was just imported. We're just going to reprint what they did.
Which, like, I have them right here. Yeah,
like, I love Empowered. That's a great book.
Empowered's awesome. But I think like that era, like Ben Dunn, Adam Warren, they kind of just like pioneered the way for like even like Western artists to kind of put out their own manga and do more of a manga style. And I think that it's really cool. So yeah, they're big names in my book.
For sure. Yeah, I got to meet Ben for the first time. I was on a show with Larry Higgins, and Ben was on there, and it was great to talk to him. He's a really interesting guy. So he's one of these dudes that I've always been aware of, but I never really understood like, who is Ben Dunn? I don't know. So that's one of the great things about all these types of shows is everybody can jump in the melting pot and hook up with each other and do stuff. So yeah.
Another great one. Oh, sorry. Another great one that I think I mentioned earlier, but me and Fernando worked for her. But another manga influenced artist is Giselle Legacy of Pixie Tricks Comics. If you guys are familiar with like Eerie Cuties, it started off as like a web comic company, and then they pushed it to like more of a publishing company, and they put out numerous titles. I believe the company Udon puts out her one book, Menage a Trois. but she does a lot of like manga inspired things with books. I think like Incredible with Fernando, what he's working on is like very manga inspired. Obviously from mine and Eerie Cuties or Fernica Sin. So it's really cool just to see it just hitting in all different angles of like people are more and more inspired by that.
So Javi says we should be calling it Maranga. Moraga.
What's up, Javi? How you doing,
American manga. Maranga.
I like that.
Oh my gosh. So your book kind of has a little bit of this type of art that we're talking about here. In fact, I got to do the share screen here. Talk amongst yourselves while I grab this thing here, and we can show it off. You tell them a little bit about what this book is, and you can talk about your other book as well, the 47 Tales and so on.
So, Reign of Ages is our entry into this bad girl fantasy adventure genre, where we've taken our principal character, Rayne, who is the now final last survivor of this ancient order of mystic warriors, and started her origin story in this first issue of a 3-part kind of trilogy introduction set that we're doing this year. Nick, of course, as the co-creator on this, he did some wonderful development for the character designs on this. And we had a lot of help from our editor, Alexia Veldhausen, who is the principal artist of 47 Furious Tales, another Kubrick grad. And then we brought this tale together in a way that didn't shy away from the brutality of the sword and sorcery genre. Didn't really pull a lot of punches. There's some pretty graphic violence in this. So, I mean, not gratuitous, but appropriate to what the story demands. Mix in your monstrous adversaries and just some really desperate situations early on. And crafted what I think is a pretty compelling tale to introduce this new hero and new series. Sorry.
I also
go ahead.
When I approached Sam with this idea, like growing up, I've been a huge fan of like Lady Death and Jim Balin's work. I've been like, ironically, I've been reading like Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose when I was like 11, 12 years old, and I don't think that's an appropriate book for a kid that age, but that didn't stop me. But I was always fascinated by the strong warrior clad sexy female character really being the badass character throughout the whole series. And when I approached Sam with this, I told him I wanted to kind of reinvent it a little bit. I wanted to still keep the core values of that whole bad girl genre, but I wanted to incorporate stylistically more of like an indie, even more indie style, like akin to Love and Rockets, the Hernandez brothers. I had like a little people compared it to Elf Quest meets Lady Death, which is a very interesting take that I've heard. I was like kind of taken about, like, wow, like I never realized that until after the whole book was done. I'm like, okay, I kind of see it, but I wanted to kind of give it even more of a indie twist to it, and that was the birth of Reign of Ages.
and Nick also managed to slip just a couple of panels of comedy in here too, which I thought was pretty intriguing. We're not going to spoil that. We'll let you read it, but I know I got a couple of pages in and I was like, okay, yeah, we'll keep it.
I'll never forget showing the editor, Alexia Veldhausen, these pages. And the one page, I'm pretty sure I know what Sam's talking about. All she said was, this panel had me dying. Like, I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, if you can make Alexia laugh, you know it has to stay.
Yeah. So, like, I was like, yes, success.
She's probably going to murder me for making that comment, but you only live once, right?
Well, we can scroll through here a little bit, and you can see it's already funded, folks. Almost closing in on 200 backers. You got 5 days to go. So if you want to jump in and check out the campaign, you can do so. Already funded, so you're good to go. And we'll just do a little scroll through here, and you can just tell us what we're looking at.
So we have a little bit about what we told you about the overall premise of the book, and then some of the things that people also compared it to, Rat Queen's heavy metal version, things like that. We've got 29 pages of story and 3 pages of bonus content for a 32-page book. The primary cover we see here was done by Isa Gulsanev. She's actually another Kubrick grad, and really caught the essence of one of the critical scenes in our first issue here in a really great way. We actually went with 3 different cover options. This is the primary cover that we've been offering, and then a virgin variant we'll see further down from Nick, and then another one from JP Buzio. But here's our interiors. It is a black and white book. It's been done with real care and attention to really every detail, so that you can showcase exactly what we need in our story elements. The commander is also an interesting figure here. This is the male figure in the dark armor. We've had a lot of people asking if we were ever going to do something more with this guy, or if he's going to be in future issues. For the second question, we'll just have you read the story, and you'll find out there. But Nick and I have been talking about maybe doing a prequel in a year or so to introduce a little bit more about that character and build a little more depth.
There's always the Boba Fett effect, right? It's always like, hey, here's this character, and you know, whatever, and people freak out.
What's his story? What's this dude? He looks cool. So
yeah. What was really bizarre was with my Penny to Your Soul book, I introduced a character at the very beginning who was basically just a valet at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
That was her job. She parked the cars. And she appeared in one issue until later in the series. But just from that one scene at the beginning, people were like, yo, what's up with this bunny character? And I'm like, why do you care? She's a valet. But for some reason, they clued in immediately that this was going to be down the line. This character was going to be, and they were completely right. But it is really funny how people will latch onto things that you create, and whether you intend them to or not.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's one of those things where getting that developed too is being worked into the calendar. So that's it's gonna be a busy year. Yeah. But as we see, Nick did, like I said, a lot of attention to the character design elements, even down to the weaponry for our principal characters. Our overall stylistic choices between the different members of the order, and also the foes that they're facing. Wow, sorry guys, in this issue. Pardon me. Ugh. But it was really exciting to see this story come to life, as it always is when you're a writer and you don't draw. It's like me, I can't draw at all. So getting a chance to see these come out and the story actually take shape is a really profound experience for me as a writer. I love seeing this kind of unfold in front of me, and I'm hoping that if people get even half the enjoyment I did when I saw these pages for the first time, we're gonna have some really happy backers and really happy audience. Oh, and I should note, all of our tiers include postage, shipping costs within the United States anyway. So like $15 tier, that's including all your shipping costs. And then this is our Virgin variant by our very own Nick Caponi.
And it's no surprise here that I wanted to go for like a 90s anime vibe to it. I was really inspired by this. And this was kind of it was just like an out of left field thing, because I was doing a demo with some of my Qbert students, and I was doodling this image of Rayne, and you know, in my head, I'm like, damn, this would actually make it like a cool cover. And I go to Sam, I'm like, hey, I just do this like Rayne doodle, like, what do you think? And he loved it. And then later on, he was like, I think we could maybe use this as like a variant cover, a virgin cover. And I was like, I'd be down with that. And that was kind of the birth of this cover.
Yeah, the backers seem to like it. We've had over 100 of them ordered already, so it's pretty nice.
That's super good. Super good. Yeah. And is that this one? Is this the magical right here?
Yeah,
or is the magical
the magical one's the next one down. And so this is the third cover. This is by JP Buzio with colors by Nick Caponi. When I first commissioned this piece, I commissioned it with the intent of just using it for an art print. And then after getting it colored and everything, went and made arrangements with JP to get him a little more for it, because we were going to use it for a cover too, so we could take good care of our artists and make sure that everyone's duly compensated and make sure they see the benefit of their work. But the two of them together, JP's pencils and inks, and then Nick's colors, really did an amazing number on this. I just love how this looks. I'm hoping to get like a run of posters done for it too, because I know exactly where they'll be sent to.
And I kind of had a little bit of a liberty of choosing the artist for that cover as well.
Yep.
It was at the time when like me and Sam have probably have like an endless list of artists we want to work on Reign of Ages, but when we were thinking of variant cover artists for this one, I wanted to introduce it in, I guess, a softer way, and I wanted something with like a 90s flair to it. And I've fortunately been friends with JP for years. We were both Cubert graduates and students. We were around the same time going there, and he always had this especially with his inks, he always had like that beautiful like 90s vibe to his work. And I go to Sam, I'm like, I really think we should go with JP with that variant cover, because he can really make that like whole Michael Turner 90s image-esque vibe come alive with Rayne. So I was very grateful that he wanted to be a part of the project.
I know, Fernando, you didn't tap Fernando on the shoulder and say, "Hey, man."
Well, actually,
we actually did.
We did. For bonus content.
Yeah, so every backer will get a beautiful Fernando Ruiz bust shot of Rayne that I had the honor of coloring. Yep. And it's in our updates, I believe. If you go to
I haven't added it to the main page yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We can do that. We can do that. Let's see here.
Yep, it's the one right there, the final home stretch one by Nick.
Home stretch?
No, not that one. It's
the other one. Oh, the digital rewards one.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
Got it. Let's see here. Read.
It's always great that when you see Fernando's name, the word legendary always comes before it. I love that. The legendary.
So give us the spiel on this now.
So we were thinking of doing some bonus content to give back to our backers, and we were kind of going down names and seeing like who would be the best fit. And I suggested Fernando to Sam, and obviously that's like literally taking a kid inside a candy store, because as what Sam mentioned, he's the biggest Fernando fan. So we were both, on board. And then I approached Fernando and I was like, would you like to do this bus shot? He was very more than happy to help. And I was really excited to, see what he produced, how he, like, it's always a really cool feeling seeing how artists interpret your characters when they draw it. But even with this one, I was like, man, like it was gorgeous when he showed me the original. I was like, oh my God. I love this piece so much.
So everyone's automatically getting this?
Yep.
Yeah. Everyone's getting it as one of the bonus digital rewards. Yeah.
Okay. There's, I believe, 3 digital rewards that every backer will get, and that's one of them. Another one, I believe, is in the home stretch, which will be
the chibi, right?
The chibi Rayne, and also a black and white bust of Rayne as well. Yeah. So we wanted to just give back to our backers a little bit as just like a thank you for the support. And, the character has been pretty well received so far. And I just wanted to give them a little thank you. So we're giving all of them 3 additional digital rewards.
And you can see you guys got the project we love from Kickstarter. So that's cool.
Yep. And actually yesterday, I think we were the comics project of the day as well. So that was fun. That had actually never happened to me before. So I was really kind of excited about it.
So let's see where we were at. So we did this one. We have the stretch goals. So you've got the print that's coming up. You're almost at that. And then you've got 7,000. You've got the Farrah Fawcett homage.
Right. And that's going to be as a postcard size piece. We actually put that together for promotion cards that we used last year when we were doing conventions and comic shops and such. And we handed these out at conventions, put them in shows, just to help start to beat the drum for Reign of Ages coming to the world. And so I think we gave out 1,500 of these.
Yeah, we gave out a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I know we gave out almost 1,000. No, we gave out almost 800 rather at the Garden State Comic Festival in the summer.
I remember Sam showing up to because I had a separate table at that show.
Yeah.
So like I more so like it was more so like promoting my colors, and Sam approached me with this like box of cards, this stack, and I'm like, damn, how many are in there? And he's
500.
like, yeah, 500. And I've been just handing them with everything, even like people who were just passing by. I gave them one of these cards, and I think it did a good impact. A lot more people are like sticking around for this character.
Yeah, definitely. Folks love those, and they were a good way also to drum up more followers on the social media accounts, because we have that information on the back. We got those printed through Mix'em. A big batch of them was hardly, it was really very negligible cost.
Yeah, you got some retail tiers. If the stores want to grab them, these are stores that are carrying your stuff, right?
And actually, we custom build the tier to the store. So we've actually got, let me see here. I'm finalizing finalizing 5 more shops in the next 3 days. And basically each tier is custom built to the shop itself. A couple of these shops are new to carrying Sinopa stuff, so they'll also be picking up 47 Furious Tales material with that, which no problem at all. And getting those out to them next month as well. So it's actually been pretty well received. I've actually never seen anyone else do retailer tiers that way, and I thought I would try, because one thing that we have with the retailers who are carrying Sinopa products is that the generic one-size-fits-all retailer tier doesn't fit all sizes. Some are going to say, well, I don't really need 40 copies. I need 30, and some are going to say I need more than 40. Can I get like 60? And there's not a real great way to custom build retailer tiers on the fly. So building them specific to the shops and putting that in there has been very well received so far. So we're going to do that again with 47 Furious Tales Issues 3's campaign in March as well.
So there we go. There it is, guys. Already funded, already done. 5 days to go. So what is that? This is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that's Friday. It ends Friday or it ends Saturday?
It ends Friday night at 11:59 p.m. EST.
It's good. It's good. It's one of those things that I've had people. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I've had people do Kickstarters, and then they have like their Kickstarter end at like 9 in the morning. I'm like, what are you doing?
I did that one time by accident. Yeah, so that was my bad. This is my first my first or my second campaign, I forget. But I forgot to actually go in and manually set the end date, and so it defaulted to 30 days after the date I launched and time I launched. That was less than ideal, but this is actually my 15th successful crowdfunding campaign since 2017 when I started, and so we'll get this done. Of course, the book is completely done. We're just waiting on our proof copies I ordered on the 11th, so they should be in probably Wednesday, Thursday, worst case scenario Friday morning, so I can verify that we don't have any problems with the values in the print file, and then we'll be ordering copies so they can get here in the middle of February and be sending those out. The backer surveys are going to go out Saturday, and then we'll start doing the digital fulfillment Saturday evening. And as surveys come in, we'll push out those digital rewards to all the backers that are getting them. It should be a very smooth fulfillment.
As always, we see Sam. Let me put you at the full screen. He's got his fulfillment behind him all the time.
Yeah,
like
sorry about this, guys. we push out a lot of books, So like 47 Furious Tales issue 1 has now sold over 1,300 print copies, and then issue 2 is now sold. I think it's 1,205. That doesn't count the numbers from this campaign, but does count the preceding campaign. And I couldn't tell you the digital right now. I know it's a few thousand each, but I don't have the exact number right now. But yeah, it's been really cool to get into comics and keep producing role-playing game books, and just do my best to get the best quality book and to do it in the most ethical way I can. So we use contracts with all of our artists, make sure that they have that in hand, and make sure that we're paying on time, and try and make sure we have good comps. Which is, it's weird. Sometimes I think that the comps are surprising to people. I think I actually surprised Fernando when I went to get this. But yeah, we try to make sure that people have good compensation for their work, because here we're in this for the long haul here at Sonoma to be doing this for the next 10, 15, 20 years, building a company I can leave to my kids one day. So we're definitely going to try and keep things as highest quality as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Rob is Rob's an artist, but he's also a creator. He does his own stuff. Bryan, do you ever have anything in the back of your head as far as making your own thing, or you just kind of focus on the work for hire?
Yeah, no, I've got some projects in mind. Right now, I'm mostly just working with you, Tom. There are a few other projects I have going on. I've got a few other covers for some other people in the works too. But I do have a couple projects. I've got a comic thing that I kind of have roughed out a little bit. I also have a pinup book idea that I'd like to do eventually, and I'm always keeping options and ideas open.
Well, you've got I've only met you once. It was at Albuquerque Comic-Con last year, and you do a lot of art prints based on horror stuff. Chucky and stuff like that.
Yeah, I actually do pretty well off of my horror fan art. I actually make most of my art money, I would say, off of horror fan art. I got a pretty good following. Yeah, most of the shows I do, I've done them at least 4 or 5 times, so people will come back see what's new and add to their collection. It's been really fun. I'm a huge horror fan, so every piece that I do, I get to put a little bit of my heart into and come up with something creative and different with things that I grew up with. Just it's been a fun part of my life.
What's your go-to horror thing?
My go-to horror, I watch a lot of bad B movies. I'll blatantly admit it. I like the super bad. I've been watching all kinds of 80s stupid horror movies like Horror High and things like
Night of the Comet.
Yeah, go for it.
Night of the Comet.
Oh, Night of the Comet. Yeah, I just watched that. I just watched that. I actually found a really awesome app called Tubi, and Tubi has all kinds of 80s B movie heaven for me. I've been watching all kinds of stupid movies on that. I like the main guys too. Freddy and Jason are still the best. All that stuff.
Growing up, I used to love the Chucky movies, and to this day, no matter how bad it is, I always defend Child's Play 2 as one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah, that movie's awesome. That movie's totally awesome.
Bryan, have you
I did a Chucky piece, kind of in tribute to that movie, because that's the movie where Chucky gets his hand torn off and he sticks a knife right in his stump. And I was like, that's so cool. I was like, I'm going to put that in a piece of art.
Have you watched the new show?
I haven't watched the show. I've heard good things though. I've actually
it's really, really good. And the whole cast is reprised, and you have Jennifer Tilly. Obviously, you have the actor who played Kyle. Kyle's back in, Andy's back in there. But you have all the original cast and then the newbies. So it's really cool.
No, I'm willing to give it a shot. I don't think I have anything that I can watch it on. I don't even know where you can watch that thing on.
It's on Netflix, isn't it?
No, I had to make an account with Sci-Fi to watch it for free.
Yeah.
Or Sci-Fi and USA, I think they both were doing it. But I think the first episodes, the first 2 episodes are free on YouTube.
Okay, I'll have to check it out. It'll just be a little tease, I guess.
Is it Cult? No, Cult of Chucky was the movie. What's the name of the show?
Just Chucky.
It's just Chucky. Oh, okay.
I think it takes place right after Cult of Chucky.
Yeah, those last two are hard to watch. Cult of Chucky and whatever. The other
Curse of Chucky, yeah.
Curse of Chucky. Those two I couldn't make it through either.
Yeah. I kind of it started to like really decline, I think, with Seed of Chucky when they went more humor. Like I personally think my last good Chucky movie I liked was Bride of Chucky, and then everything else was kind of like dog shit afterwards.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, USA and Sci-Fi is that show. Yeah. It's
check
interesting. USA did a show. Well, they do 2 seasons of it too, of The Purge, which I was like, that's super weird to do like The Purge on USA, because it's not going to be the Purge. It's not going to really be The Purge. I mean, you're going to get the story, but you're not going to get the full effect. Doing horror on like network. It's not network, but like normal cable channels is very strange to me.
Yeah, it's because I feel like the movies really there were no limits, and obviously if you're broadcasting it like on live television as like a show, or like anybody, their family.
Well, it's not even a pay station. It's not like it's HBO or something, where they can go a little further and be a little crazier. It's just like, yeah, it's on Sci-Fi. Yeah, it's on USA. And that's the interesting thing for me for Chucky is we talked about this on our movie show too. Is and it's never been. It's of all of these movies, Freddy and Jason and so on, it's the one that's never been rebooted. Like the continuity is just there. Like through all the movies, through the cult, through the TV show, it just goes.
They tried rebooting it with they tried rebooting Child's Play and it was the worst thing I've ever seen, because it was they essentially made Chucky like a cursed Alexa, kind of like a electronic thing that's linked to your house and could literally like blow up your house or like do these weird things. And it was all just like, there was no like voodoo involved. It was just some disgruntled worker just like hacked this doll, and
it's meant to appease for the younger generation who just lives off of the internet and electronics. It's basically all it is flipping around.
So there was
it's okay. It's got a couple scenes in it that were crazy. There's a scene involving a mulcher that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And a table saw, and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. But it was hashtag not my Chucky.
As what happens quite a bit. Do you do horror stuff, Rob, or do you do more? I mean, I know there's a little bit of horror stuff in your types of comics.
Yeah, a little bit, but like as the genre itself, not really. I mean, I'll be lettering a horror comic that just got funded on Kickstarter a couple months ago. But other than that, would be like my only work in the genre, so far anyway. But yeah,
doesn't your book like Succubus and stuff like that? I mean, does it have like a horror angle to it?
One of the characters in there, like the lead character's sister, she's kind of along the lines of a horror character. She's like the evil succubus that kills people and messes them up and stuff like that. So yeah, but yeah, like overall, just being in the horror genre, I haven't done a whole bunch of work with it, but yeah, I'm familiar with a lot of it, but just as content myself, I just kind of cherry pick from the stuff that I like or think that'll work in a story that I'm working on or something like that. But, yeah.
How Fernando, when you're dealing with people who want to create something, like create their own thing, not just like I want to work for Marvel and draw Spider-Man, do you guys do anything with that at the school, like as far as like kind of teaching people how to build a character, build a world, find your story as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially nowadays with, as you can see, Kickstarter being such a commonly used tool.
Sure.
I mean, that's really opened the door. I mean, the common plan maybe 20, 30 years ago was you graduate from the school and then you go and knock on DC and Marvel's door. But nowadays it's more like you work for independent companies, smaller companies, or you finance yourself by going through Kickstarter. So one of the classes that we offer at the school is called the Business of Cartoon Art, which is really like, it encompasses living as a cartoonist, as a commercial artist, and dealing with contracts and you know, looking for a job and putting together a portfolio and interviewing, but also just like, you know, your day-to-day stuff like taxes and things like that. So as part of that, you know, we talk about crowdfunding and you know, everything involved in putting together a campaign, and also even putting together like a pitch to go and pitch your idea somewhere. So yeah, I mean, it's such a big thing nowadays that yeah, we do talk about it.
So what's the as far as the actual, like, if someone's like, hey, I have this idea, but how do I make it into a comic or a story or whatever? Like, what's the process for Qbert to kind of help them figure out? Because there's a lot of artists, particularly, that have ideas, but they aren't necessarily writers, and so they don't really know how to, you know, push the character forward. They know what it looks like. They know, like, oh, I want her to live in the mountains and whatever, and that's like their idea. But how, do you guys help, like, figure out, like, okay, let's tell a story with this? Is there a method that you guys kind of go through?
Yeah, the main thing is to sit down and really plan out your idea, you know, because everybody gets like fragments of ideas and they leave it at that. But, you know, it's only the serious guy who sits down and says, okay, you know, what I want to do is a 120-page graphic novel that is about this character, and this is the story that happens. So, you know, the student, the creator, they have to sit down and do a little bit of thinking and decide, am I a writer? Am I enough of a writer to pull this off? Do I need to work with a writer? Or vice versa? Do I need an artist? Do I need an inker? Do I need a letterer? You know, the first step is always really sit down and plan out, nail down your plan.
And looking for writers seems to be a little more common over the last year or so, I've noticed, because we've had, I mean, I have personally had people who approached me for different projects to get to write out and develop some concepts that folks were willing to do, which was surprising. You know, it was surprising to get those emails and have people message me and such. But it's really interesting because I was used to the flip side of it, going out and say, okay, what artists do I need for this? Who's producing something in the style I'm looking for? And I try to keep work within the people I'm using so that we can try and keep, you know, everyone active, you know, keep people working, keeping them paid as our artists so that they get to be artists and less time as baristas. So yeah, it's been pretty interesting to see that on the other foot here lately. It's a strange, new, and wonderful world.
And Mr. Kincaid has finally joined us. Let me just start by saying, sir, boo, boo, boo.
That was a great game.
It was a hell of a game.
That was a great game, and to be there live was nuts.
You picked a good game to go to, sir.
Yeah,
a good game to go to. Boo.
Haters gonna hate. Haters gonna hate.
Yeah, so we're just kind of chit-chatting, Ryan. Fernando here's a instructor at the Qbert School, and we're talking about you know, creating comics, and Ryan's an artist, but he's also creating his own stuff as well. Why don't you give the watchers a little Who's Ryan rundown here?
The watchers, doesn't most of our watchers know who I am?
Well, there's different people in here this time.
Different people? Okay.
Yeah, there are some different people.
My name is Ryan, obviously, Kincaid. I do a lot of cover work for, you know, Tom, including Coffin Comics, DC, Dynamite. Actually, we have our own business that's Kincaid Exclusive Comics, so we do our own exclusives with lots of different people. But I also write and draw a series I did called Persuasion, and I'm writing another series called Con Artists, and I'm actually doing a third series called Seraph and the Seven with the Artist Elite team.
Ooh.
That'll debut sometime this year.
I haven't heard of that one. That's news to me.
Yeah,
I'm always last to know, Ryan.
I don't know what's going on with it. It's part of the whole Artist Elite, so it's like an anthology. We're all doing different pieces.
Oh yes, I have heard of this. Okay.
Yeah. So mine, I figured lots of those guys. It's Brett Booth and Ollie Garza, Tyler Kirkham. I was like, a lot of those guys are going to have the whole superhero genre down. So I was going to go a little more paranormal, biblical, because the only other person I saw doing that would be Ben Templesmith. So we're going with like angels and demons and stuff. But I can't really do a whole lot of it because I don't know when it's actually going to get pushed and released and promoted and stuff.
Right. So your con artist thing is what's up next for you.
Con artist is next, which is fun for everyone in the industry. Rob, don't be surprised if I put your ass in it, because there's lots of stories that involve Rob getting, throwing me off a damn bed in Vegas. It's basically, poking fun at everything that we kind of do behind the scenes of cons and artists and writers and stuff.
Yeah. It's good stuff. It's good
Very
stuff.
cool. Yeah.
And Brian's done stuff for me, but our co-creation was we did our Antoinette book, historical fiction about Marie Antoinette. So definitely we need to get back to that one of these millennia. We'll get back to do some more of that. I already have what it needs to be, but we gotta as always, we gotta find the time, the space, the moment for there's only so many times you can do Kickstarter in a year for both of us.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can do that. There we go. Now I can see better. I see Bryan kicking it.
What's up? How are you doing, Ryan?
No, I'm warm now. It was freezing out there.
Oh yeah, you outside all day?
No, I literally just came from the Chiefs game.
Oh yeah. Is that an outside stadium or an indoor stadium?
Yeah, it's outside. It's outside.
Yeah. Pretty cold.
Very outside, very cold.
Yeah. Took my kid for his first game, so figured, why not?
Nice.
How did you manage tickets to that at the last minute?
That's what I was wondering.
I looked and they were available, and they weren't.
You just went on the site and bought tickets? Holy crap!
Yeah, and they weren't even that bad. We were on the field level in like row 26, and I was actually shocked at like the price on them. So I was like, I can't not. Like, that's nuts.
It must have been cheap just because they want to fill those seats. They don't want empty seats. Yeah. And they're just like, yo, we got to sell them.
Arrowhead's pretty good about keeping their prices low, like period. Like they don't skyrocket them. There wasn't that big of a price increase once they won the Super Bowl from when they were not very great. Something about the ownership, they wanted to keep it that way to be, like you said, fill the stadium.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Quantity, right? You make it up in volume.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, they're making their money selling, $12 beers. Let's be real.
I'm not even
people show up
coming from LA. Coming from LA, where a 12-ounce beer was like $20. At Arrowhead Stadium, it was a 24 was 16. So I was pretty impressed by Midwest stadiums pricing, because it was the same way in Indianapolis. I guess I'm just getting used to getting raped in California. So.
Yeah, California.
That's like Colorado too. Everything here is like that. It's terrible.
Colorado's got that weed money now. Everything should be more mellow.
Yeah. No. It ruined Colorado. You don't understand how many people are moving out here and how everything is skyrocketing. No joke. Colorado is absolutely ruined by legalization.
I looked at moving out there, and pricing went nuts around the time I was looking to move, because it was shortly after legalization happened.
Yeah, you can't find a house in the slums for under $500,000.
Wow. Well, okay.
No, sorry. Colorado's just crazy right now. I love my state. I'm a native. I'm a Colorado native. I've lived here my whole life. And to see it go through this crazy dramatic change in the last 7 years or whatever, it's been completely unreal. Living my whole life.
Yeah, I lived in California basically my whole life, so I've been out of there now for about 15 years, maybe. I'll tell you, outside of just the generalization of it's California and it's nice, like I'm so happy I'm not there. so glad I'm not in that state anymore.
I
And I
laugh
keep
when
trying to get the
say
people that are there. Like I keep trying to get people out. I'm like, Nia, you got to get out of there. Like,
Yeah,
Ryan escaped. Ryan, get out of there. You've been out now for
definitely
about
one
what,
of those
3 years?
guys that yeah, I've been here for almost 6.
Oh, okay.
I crack up when everyone's like, "It's California. It's so nice." I'm like, "Have you ever been there?" Yeah, I went to like Hollywood. I'm like, "That's not fucking California." Like every place you think is nice is what you see on TV. It ain't. It's not California. Like go, go around. It's not as nice as everybody talks about.
I was in LA once, and I was just walking around the streets. And the thing that was weird was I didn't see anybody else walking around in the streets in LA. I thought for sure there'd be people all over, and there was, at least where I was at, there was nobody. It was a ghost town.
Yeah, that's because most places you don't want to walk in the streets.
Yeah.
That's how I feel
San
about when
Diego.
people talk about they like people who don't live in like the tri-state area. That's when they talk about how beautiful New York City is and all that stuff. And I'm just like,
New York
being in-
City?
being in New Jersey my whole life, I can attest that New York City is not. It's not what you think. It's not
New York.
this beautiful-
I love parts of going to like New York City Comic Con.
Yeah, like that,
I cannot stand the city.
oh, it's-
Just everywhere you go, it's so crowded and freaking dirty.
Yup, it's
Yeah, I love New York Comic Con itself, but I don't love that it's in New York.
Yeah, no.
Which
at
is
all.
kind of a problem, right?
I call it the armpit of America.
It is a great con, and I heard that even though they had COVID protocols and so on this year, those that went actually did really well. Which
Yeah,
is
it was
good.
still good. It was still good. Mine is getting stuck there for 2 extra days, but yeah, it was still good.
Yeah.
I visited. I went to New York City one time when I was a kid, and I hated it then.
Yeah,
It's just not. No, this is
It's-
too much. Too much concrete. You can barely see the sky. It's just buildings and glass and concrete everywhere. There's people everywhere. You're always like there's nuts to butts everywhere you go. Crazy.
I'll give one thing to New York though. Like dog trainers must make bank.
Oh,
Because however you could get to train your dog to piss and shit in the streets and the sidewalks where there's no grass or anything, because there isn't anywhere for blocks. Magical. I'm like, I walk down the street. I'm like, my dog would never, like, he'd just die of constipation because there's no grass anywhere.
I like
Dog
this is another situation where I like the city, but in this case I like the city, but I don't like the con. Is Charlotte and Heroes Con. I like Charlotte. Charlotte's a really interesting city.
Yes.
It's got a really great mix of like old architecture and like really modern new stuff. So it's really kind of cool visually. But I did Heroes Con a few times and I was like, no, this is not going to work for me. So no more Charlotte for me, unfortunately.
I'm not a huge fan of that one either.
So that kind of surprises me because it's a very art heavy.
So yes, it is. But from my experience, it's really commission heavy on the first, I'll say, day and a half. But then everybody blows their money on the auction night.
Sure.
And so if you didn't get the money, Friday or the very beginning of Saturday, you're not going to make anything else because the rest of the people are saving their money for Saturday night auction, and then they've spent it all. So Sunday, like, you might as well just not show up.
Have you ever gone to that auction before? Have you ever seen it happen?
I went to part of one.
Yeah.
And watched it.
It's a sight. It's something to see. If you guys do go to Heroes Con, they do a big auction Saturday night.
Yeah.
And like it's like a competition auction.
Right.
Because they'll get artists, like big artists, and they'll be like trying to one up each other and trying to get the money up higher, and it's a wild experience.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they were when I went. I think like I saw one of Andrew Robinson's pieces went for like $8,000 or $9,000, whatever it was. And it's great. It is what it is. But the only reason I stopped paying attention to it when I found out like most of that money just goes back to the con to pay for all the guests for the next year.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what am I donating art for to pay for somebody that is a competitor to me and I can't even get a table. I'm gonna give up shit so they can pay for somebody I don't like to show up.
Any cons for you guys on the horizon?
We're the next con me and Sam will be Garden State Comic Fest, New Jersey, in Morristown. It's a pretty big show in the state. I think it's the biggest in New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. But it's definitely it's my best show personally. I know the owners who do it; they're awesome. But you have like a lot of people there. Like this past year, I met Bill McKay, I've met Chris Campagna, and I've landed a few gigs with Chris recently because of meeting him at these shows. And you have a lot. I think a couple years ago they had the original voice actor for Skeletor, which I thought was pretty cool.
Is this coming up soon, or like when?
The summer. It's in July 10th.
So they're doing like a test of different versions of the show. They have a winter edition. I believe, Fernando, you're gonna be there. Or they have a winter edition. I usually go in the summer edition, which is the main one they've always had, and that's in July, I believe. It's usually held either in June or July, but this year it's in July.
It's July, yeah, July 9th and 10th, I believe. Yeah.
The fun thing about it too, it's over an ice rink. So
Oh, I've done that before. Woo, that's interesting. Bring extra socks.
What's fun for that is like it's a 750-mile drive for me to get there.
And it's only a 10-minute drive for me.
Yeah, so it's a long haul with a lot of books. It's 12 hours and plus one way. And so it makes for an interesting crash course in con survival. We've got I got invited to a con down in Louisiana this week in October. I'm going to see if I'm going to be able to make that, but they invited me as a guest table and all. So I was like, that's unforeseen, and I'll take it if I can make it. So, we'll see how that works. And then looking at maybe doing WinterCon if the tables are still available once I've got a better handle on the budget at the end of the week. And beyond that, might do St. Louis in August, I believe. So.
Rob, anything happen in Arizona besides Phoenix back to June?
I didn't know anything about it.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, not any big shows. Phoenix is pretty much the biggest one that's coming up, and I myself am still trying to get my foot in the door with that one because it's been such turmoil.
It didn't sound like he was mad.
And everything. So, but yeah, I don't have any like huge shows coming up. Mostly just local stuff. The toy show coming up in Tucson in March. Another a comic art show in Safford, Arizona coming up in April.
With a sarcastic remark.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything? I know that there's a Colorado, but it's owned by who's it owned by now? Somebody bought it.
The Denver Comic Con is now Fan Expo Denver.
Right.
And actually, I'm a lot happier. The last few years, they were known as Pop Culture Con, Denver Pop Culture Con. And whoever was managing that was just doing a garbage job, man. It was everything about it was great the last few years. So I'm really, really happy that it has new ownership. This year, it was a little slow. I think their attendance was down 60-70% than usual.
Well, everybody's was with the COVID. I mean, it demolished everybody's. Even C2. Actually, C2E2 was surprisingly packed. At least over in Artist Alley area, it was really full. So that kind of surprised me. But yeah, are you? So
I usually do a lot better in Denver.
Are you locked in for Denver? Are you doing it this year?
I'm planning on doing it. I'm not locked in yet, but I'll get a table.
And Fernando, you doing anything besides the one that they mentioned?
No, just Garden State Winterfest, which is coming up in 2 weeks. It's in the first weekend of February. I did a lot of. I was doing a lot of conventions.
I think they're fucking with us.
And one thing I'm grateful to COVID for was to kind of open up my schedule.
They're 35. They're still trying to get out.
Now that I'm full-time at the school, so it's hard for me to get away. I do mostly like local shows. I'll do New York, although I didn't do it this year. And the Garden State guys, they're real nice guys. They always have me to their show, so I'll do their show anytime.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah, I actually get to do a little show here, the Midwest on the 12th, February 12th. It's called Northwest. It's called NWI Comic Con, Northwest Indiana Comic Con. It's just a little one-day show. We used to do when I was still married and living in Illinois, and then when I got divorced and I was bouncing around, I never got to do it. So we're getting to do that again. So anybody in the Midwest on the 12th, which ends up being the day the Critter Kickstarter ends, so that's gonna be a busy day, and it's also the day before the Super Bowl. So it's gonna be an interesting day. But if anyone's in the Midwest, right in that zone, February 12th, I'll be at that show.
What
and then
city
after
is
that,
it?
it's kind of wide open.
What city is it?
I don't know. It's literally like if you go into the Northwest Indiana, it's Northwest Indiana. It's like whatever the city. I want to say it's like Griffith or something like that. I got to find the city name.
So yeah, it's
but
about
we'll start
about 3.5 hour drive for me then.
Yeah, it's and it's a great show. I mean, with the times that we've done it, they have packed the house for this little tiny show, which is great. Small shows can really be something special if they're done right. Akron Comic Con is an example. They do a 2-day show, and Akron is just unbelievable. So,
are you gonna be down for the Lexington Toy and Comic Con? I think it's in August this year.
No. C2E2 is in August this year, so I think I'm going to probably end up doing that because it's an easy show for me. And my editor lives in Illinois, so I just go hang out with her, and then we go do that show. So, Ryan, any shows on your schedule?
I know I'm going to be in the Orlando Toy Show this weekend, the one-day one this weekend. Mike does a great one-day event. Other than that, I think I'm supposed to do like WonderCon. I know I'm doing Planet, the Reed Pop shows, probably C2E2 and Emerald. I don't have like a definite schedule yet. I know I'm doing Planet for sure, and WonderCon's paid for, so I think I'm doing that. I haven't heard anything back because it was just rolled over for when they, canceled everything, but we had to reapply. So I don't know. I kind of playing this year by.
It's really weird. Like there almost seems like no one's got a schedule at this point. And normally everything's like tech, and no one's doing anything. They're all kind of playing it by ear.
It's supposed to be here, but things change. Like I was supposed to go to Dubai, but that whole show got canceled. So, then they were gonna send me to one like 2 weeks before that in Abu Dhabi, but the timing doesn't match up with my kids in school, so I'm not doing that. But that's why I'm like, I don't know. We'll see what happens, because for all we know, something else is gonna happen, and more shows are gonna shut down, and we're gonna go back to everything's virtual. Who knows?
Well, that's why we're doing these things, so that we can maintain that virtual presence and get people to find some stuff they might not have heard of, meet some artists they may not have heard of. So we appreciate you guys hopping on here. As always, we'll be back. Actually, this particular week, Sunday sketching is going to be the Saturday. It's going to be Saturday. We're going to have CB Zane on, and he's got his Black Rabbit Kickstarter that's running. So we're going to talk to CB and do some Black Rabbit stuff. So we're going to continue to do the shows, but it's good because of football season and the Super Bowl and all this kind of stuff. We're kind of bouncing around a little bit. So watch for our posts, and we'll try and announce stuff for our days ahead of time. But this week it will be Saturday with CB Zane and Black Rabbit. So everybody go check out Sam's campaign. Let me put this little image back up here for you one more time. Boom. Go check out Rayne of Ages. He's got 5 days left. There's some cool stuff on there for you to get involved in. Sam is often a guest on Larry Higgins' shows, Niobe Comics. So jump over, watch some of those shows as well. And that's going to do it for us tonight. We'll see you all on Saturday with CB Zane and Black Rabbit. Till then, we'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.